Hello, it's Storytelling Ron, and wow. So this is a totally whacked video interview because I am, everyone knows me as this doing the Christian RPG or Dungeons and Dragons and Star Wars RPG. This is not that at all on this channel. So this is completely weirdo, but I really want to appreciate DJ Tommy coming on because I just bugged him and he doesn't care. Okay, disclaimer. Tommy doesn't believe in or support anything I do or am. Not my religion, not my politics, anything. He's just here to talk about what he loves, and I really appreciate him saying yes when I asked him. And so I just want everyone to know that he's not here for me. He's here for the LA alternative goth industrial scene. That's what he's here for. And I appreciate that because I just want a little disclaimer there. And I just want to say that quickly where I come from, and then I want to get to you. So my wife and I in the 90s, so be prepared. That's where I'll be starting, my questions. But we did all this stuff before we were married, when we were married, and a little bit after. We didn't have family. We didn't have family. She's from England and it was far away. And then my family is divorced and whatever. So our thing was here in LA. In Hollywood in LA. So that's what we did. And that's what we gravitated always towards that. But then, we had kids, and 20 years later, we're dating again. Okay. And, in the last 5 years, and we went, we used to have membership at the Magic Castle. We did wine clubs, we did resorts, we did whatever. But when we started slowly realizing and finding, these things, and I finally came and found, I knew about Boardners and I knew about Bar Sinister and all that, but I didn't go. And then when we finally did, we Club Decades. But man, Wenzday, that was just awesome. I was like, I don't know, melty inside. It was to me mature, like the goth scene is mature now, right?
Absolutely.
It's not young.
No. I mean, even the young people that come here, they've embraced it fully, and they're pretty mature themselves for the most part. Of course, you always have a straggler in any sort of scene, whether it's the goth scene or any other subset of society. You always got the stragglers that get in somehow.
And I definitely want you to bring, say some stories on that. Because I was social media. I was searching, and I found you, and then I found the Dark Mark interview, or whatever when you and the comedian were on.
Yeah, the gothic comedian, and I think it was Erica Ennis.
Yeah. And did he have a GoPro on his head?
I believe he didn't have it on his head. He had like a little thing he was using in his hand.
Yeah, because he kept going between you two. Yeah. And she was talking comedy, and then he'd go to her. And then he would move over to you, and I was like, "What is?" I wanted to hear about the club scene. Then just because that's what I was looking for at the time. Yeah. But yeah, so I was like, "Oh my gosh, I got to hear more about the club scene. What's been going on."
Oh yeah. It's been a heck of a ride. We just had our 24-year anniversary this past August, so that's still a head scratcher in a good way. It's. A lot of times, especially when I grew up in a military family and moved around a lot. And I would also join the military as well. And all those small towns everywhere, you have places that would try to have goth clubs or some sort of alternative scene. And they would never be able to keep a club more than a few weeks just because the bar needed to make a certain amount, or there'd be always some sort of excuse why it wouldn't last. And next thing you know, you're moving to another place, another name for another club, what have you. So even here in LA, you'll see a lot of small goth clubs or alternative things pop up, and they don't last long a lot of times.
Right.
For being here for this long and working our 25th year, it's amazing.
Wow. Yeah. So you guys started. So what year did you guys start then? I can't do math.
I think I moved out here in '98, and I think it was around near the end of '98. Around August of '98 is when it started, I believe.
I'm going to get to 98. I want to bring this up. Your band Severed. Yes. Okay. And do you only have the 2 songs on iTunes right now?
Right now, just the two. I'm about to go back in the studio. We were working on another song called Thirst. There's a little vampire tune I was working on.
Okay.
But I kind of bypassed that when we're going to come back to it because I want to record this ballad that I wrote that I performed. I think is going to work better as far as I'm about to submit some stuff to a label overseas. And I think that song, along with the two that are already on iTunes, would work best just for at least the submission that they want to hear. After that, there'll be a few others. There's that one's called Always You, Thirst, Numb. And then, of course, for the album, we're also going to have a cover from INXS called Never Tear Us Apart as well.
Okay, yeah. So those two, though, I put them on my Goth playlist, and I just want to say they fit right in. Okay, they fit right in with Chameleons and Depeche Mode and The Cure and Ministry and Nine Inch Nails and then all the other fun stuff that I put in there, and they fit right in. I feel good with them in there. They're great. I really enjoy them.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, awesome. It was good. I really do. Yeah, I was like, okay, this is good. I really like them. Okay, so I just want to definitely wanted to mention that from the get go. So yeah, I remember you said in the other video that you were in the Navy, and then you 98. Why did you come here?
I came here. I had a girlfriend at the time who was moving out here. Her sister was working at Warner Brothers on the Friends set, and so I guess she talked her into moving out here. And she asked me if I want to move out here too. So we both just got a U-Haul and all the way on the I-10. That was I think about 2.5 day trip or so, and that was interesting.
What was your goal coming here? Aside from that, did you have any?
The goal was still the same at the time. Just a change of pace, just because I'd been in Florida and from the Navy. And also, when I was in the Navy, when I went to boot camp, I went to boot camp in San Diego when they still had a boot camp for the Navy there. And I fell in love with the area then and wanted to move out here at some point in my life. So I said, why not now, I guess. So, and that happened. So
yeah. So in the 90s, so on Wednesdays, I saw a guy at the club and he just looked cool. He was bald and he looked just like a villain, like this cool villain. So my wife and I went up and talked to him, but I mean, it was great. He actually had all this history too, this guy named Anthony, and he brought up the names I forgot of the club and Cinematic. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. Cinematic, I remember that. I actually never went there because I think it was on a Saturday as well. It might've been a Friday, but pretty sure it was a Saturday night. But yeah, that was a big fetish club they had over at the Dragonfly, and there's a lot of electro techno music.
Yeah, in Santa Monica.
Yeah, right there in Santa Monica.
Yeah, I live right up up here, a couple blocks from it. But I used to go there. And when did that? Do you know when that one ended? I'm just curious.
No, there was a whole group of those clubs that were. I think that was an Evil Club. It might not have been Evil Club Empire, but a lot of those clubs seemed to fizzle out around the same time, and we're still going probably. I'm just guessing, so I could be totally wrong.
Right.
But maybe 2003, 2004.
Somewhere around there. Yeah. Yeah. And I remember going to this was maybe before 98. I went to one, there was a Goth Industrial in downtown at a Chinese restaurant, I believe.
Oh yeah. I've been to that place. That place is really great. And I believe that was that's Deejay Zian's, I think she was running a club called Ruin through there, as well as a couple other her nights. She had a rotation of various nights she would do at that place. I believe that's the same.
Yeah, that's probably it. I remember that one quite well. I mean, I don't have a very good memory, but just, it's all a haze and blur to me. But that one, and then there was one right here on Hollywood, in the corner of Hollywood and La Brea, I think not in the Roosevelt, but in a hotel. I think where Live Nation is now, or something like that.
That might have been Cloak and Dagger on Tuesday nights.
Yeah, I think. Okay, thank you.
I never went there, and I'm thankful that I didn't. But, yeah, they ended up shutting down. I think right before the pandemic started, because they got in trouble for some things.
Oh wait, so they lasted that long? You think from the 90s, or it's probably a different
years?
Yeah,
that was maybe it was a different club then, but yeah. Cloak and Dagger, yeah, they got in trouble. They were doing some stuff.
Was that a Goth Industrial alternative?
They claimed to be Goth and Industrial. Their whole thing, I guess their whole moniker was on Tuesdays we wear black. And me and somebody that's been in this scene for so long, I was like, well, I wear black every day.
Oh, so
people dressing up and be goth for one night, and just some goth, and then a bunch of other random things.
Right. Yeah. What else? Okay. All right. I think that's all my questions. So how did you get into then DJing and?
Oh, well, that actually started near the end of my military career. I ran into some people at a club I was at in Florida, and I always had a bunch of CDs anyway. Always wanted to give it a go. But the main focus was to start DJing. Actually, wasn't even to actually DJ. I actually just wanted to use their system so I could like record songs and then take them here before opening, and like play them over the system, see what they sounded like, and see what I needed to tweak. That was the goal, just to utilize their system. But then I ended up turning into a whole DJ. I guess I fell in love with playing music for people, so kind of worked out that way, I guess.
And then you came out here, and then what? You just started hanging out at the.
Yeah, I moved out here, and I met Trish, the owner, who then was just a promoter here.
At Boardner's.
Yeah, and they just opened, and I remember I told her, I was like, hey, I'd love to come and guest DJ. And she's like, oh, just bring your stuff next week. They had literally, that was like opening night. And,
oh, wow.
I've been meeting the two DJs, and the DJs at the time, one of them was pretty cool, and the other one wasn't too thrilled about the idea. And so he was like, well, yeah, you can come and DJ, but we'll give you 15 minutes. And I guess he was hoping that would dissuade me. I ended up coming for the next 3 weeks and DJing for 15 minutes. He ended up leaving shortly after that, and I took his slot, and then I've been here ever since.
Yeah, well. Wow. So 24 years, huh?
24 years.
And yeah, literally the goth thing started in the 80s. Right?
Yeah.
That's when it started.
Yeah, like near the end of the 70s, you start like getting some of the punk bands switching out into the post-punk, I guess you would call it post-punk. And that's where you would get the bands like Susie, all them came out like 77, 78.
Right.
Pure and all those guys, Bauhaus started. And then Lord's New Church, which was basically a bunch of punk bands that decided they wanted to start a goth band, which was great. I miss that band. That was a really cool band. And now it's what it is now.
So the 90s was that. What was the 2000s like for the scene?
It was interesting.
If you can remember that period.
It was it's a lot of what was the big thing? I mean, it's honestly not terribly too much difference. I mean, I think back then one thing that was the thing is, I guess, since Manson was really big back then a lot, in his heyday, where he got in trouble. You would see the funny thing is you would see a lot of guys come to the club that had literally the entire look that you would swear was Manson.
Right.
It was almost like carbon copies. I think that was like the big look, and a lot of the bands kind of had that similar sound going. That shock rock / a little bit of electro in there. But then you also had other bands like the Birthday Massacre. They played here for 1999 for the New Year for 2000. Those type of bands started popping up, and Shiny Toy Guns. I think that was kind of like the birthing time of like a lot of the electro that you hear now, actually.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's more of the they started messing with the melodic stuff and the electronic,
Absolutely.
Like loops and beats and stuff.
Definitely, and now these days you have like a lot of the bands. I mean, there's still like a lot of the bands that kind of have that same Sister Mercy or Susan Banshee sound that still going with the dark wave, but the cool thing is the electronic bands are kind of incorporating all these different things.
Right.
You have like a lot of the synth wave stuff that kind of has that 80s vibe going, and then you have like the industrial bands that are kind of, you got anything that's more of a techno sounding to more of the Free Teeth or somebody like that that's kind of got the KMFDM or Nine Inch Nails sound. So
would you say then that, and it was, so Boardner's is the location. Bar Sinister is the organizers of the.
See, Boardner's is the location, and Bar Sinister is just the night on Saturdays, and then Wednesdays is called Wednesday's Party.
Okay.
And of course, Club Decades on Friday.
And it's the same sort of organizers doing all that.
It's different promoted. Well,
different.
Wednesdays and Saturdays are our promotions, Trish's, and it's run by the same people. Mm-hmm. Fridays is run by a completely different group.
Okay.
People, and they're great people.
Right.
Then you have Mondays and Thursdays, which is Blue Mondays, which is basically run by Bruce and Evil Club Empire. Next night you have like there's I guess a band on stage outside in the patio. I don't know if you can hear them in the background, but they have like a Lucky Devils band. I guess they just play a bunch of random covers. They do that on I think every Tuesday.
Wait, is there an audience?
Out there in the patio. Here in the club, it's completely it's just me and completely dark. Besides up here in the booth.
Oh, okay. Yeah, when I came on Wednesdays, I didn't realize that. Yeah, on Fridays they had the DJ down there on the dance floor, and then you guys were up there, so I didn't realize that.
And they like it down there, and it is cool down there. But there's a couple drawbacks for being down there. You get like when you get alcohol involved, you get people that decide that they want to hold on to that. They hold it to your side, hoping it won't fall over, and they've actually had it fall over a couple of times on Friday nights. That's just a dangerous thing, both for customers and for us up there. So,
and no one,
you get your own little area away from everybody, and I can set up the streaming equipment, and you kind of get it's nice to have that little space sometimes.
Yeah, no one bugs you for requests, right?
Right. They still come up. They're not supposed to, but they do.
That they managed to get up there. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. I don't mind that. I think the main thing down there is just the safety thing for me.
Right. So what else? So you guys are like, sounds to me like you guys there at Boardner's are like the backbone of the goth scene here in LA. Then, like you're the immovable.
One of them. I mean, you have Frank and John, Reverend John over at Doss Bunker. They've been around for almost as long, if not maybe a year or so longer, I think.
But they move around, right? They're not.
They move around, and they don't really have a regular every month thing any longer. They
right.
kind of pop up every once in a while. But I guess as far as continuality, I guess we would be, since we are here. We have been. I think we've only been closed. The only time we've ever closed on a Saturday is like if it falls on Christmas, or like this year it's Christmas Eve, so we're going to be closed on Christmas Eve. But other than that, we're here every Saturday.
Right. So what are like in the 2000s and 2010s? What are some other goth clubs that kind of came and you thought were pretty good, but then they just didn't last, but still seemed like good. They were able to go to or whatever.
There was one that was literally across the street from us on Thomas called Dungeon. That one was amazing. Everybody thought that we were like rivals, but it really wasn't. I think the promoters might have been rivals, but this is DJs. We would literally hang out in Boardner's before both clubs would open and just have drinks and hang out. We were all friends. Then once it was almost 10 o'clock, we'd all disperse to our separate clubs. But and the cool thing was people would go back and forth throughout the night. You'd like hang out over here at Bar Sinister for a little bit and then go over there to Dungeon, and vice versa. And it was great. It was nice having that little thing going back and forth.
It's like a little mini festival.
I'd go over there too. We would go over there as well as DJs. I'd get off DJing here and walk over there and go and hang out with Blue Jen, and which rest in peace for her. She was a hell of a DJ. But yeah, that was a great club.
How long did that one last there then?
That was it lasted a few years.
Years? At
least 3 or 4 years.
Why did it close?
I believe change of ownership of the venue. I believe don't quote me on that, but I believe that's what happened with that.
Yeah. So we started going to Underground LA. Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
The one in downtown at the little Grand Star Jazz Club.
Yeah. I think it's the same place that Christian runs her stuff through.
Yeah. Okay. That's a cute little alternative scene there on Friday nights.
Yeah, I've never been to it, but I love that location.
It's small
for other events, but not for that one.
Yeah. We really were impressed. It was very eclectic. The crowd, the ages, and even the appearances. And there'd always be like a little bit of a goth bit, alternative bit, some maybe people that look like they just came out of the 70s, and then, and us older people. And one of the guys there told us about Wednesday nights and how that was like the legit goth. And then when we went Wednesday, he was there. So it was good to see the guy. But that club is fun. I'm glad that it's there. I'm glad that there's a group of people in that area that can find that little alternative, industrial goth, but it's mostly alternative um, place to do their thing.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, I hope Christian comes around. I know she's been having some things go on, but I hope she brings her clubs back around because she always has great events and she's a heck of a DJ as well.
And what was her what clubs was she doing?
She was doing her whole thing was under a thing called LA Dead, and she did stuff like Malediction Society, Ruin. God, she had several. She had so many. Modem, I think, was one of them. I could be wrong, but I'm fairly sure one was called Modem. They had like a kind of a death rock night. I don't recall the name of that one offhand, but she would have like she would stagger it. So like I think it was like every other week it'd be a different club, and it was at a couple of different places. I originated at the Monte Cristo, and then at a few other places.
Right.
Yeah, she's definitely missed in the scene right now. So hopefully she'll make her way back in sometime soon.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's so yeah for the promoters, it's a lot of work, right? And not, it's I don't know, is it lucrative for them, or is it just something you just got to keep doing and
I don't know much about the promotion side because I handle just this stuff up here.
Right.
But I'm sure there's a lot of ad bill involved. And it must be somewhat lucrative because I mean, she ended up, Trish started here as promoter and she ended up buying this place. Now she's the full owner.
Oh wow.
It's amazing to see the growth that she's done in this place. Now she's basically turned into a miniature Lisa Vanderpump. She's got like several restaurants and bars that she owns now, and it's pretty awesome to see the growth that she has maintained.
Huh. Yeah, I like the interior there. It makes me feel like it's the nightclub of the Magic Castle. It's got all the decor. It's got the various little rooms and passageways. Just
New Orleans flair a little bit outside.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, and then walking through the entrance there. Absolutely. Yeah. And then the whole Harry Potter that's the whole Harry Potter kind of above the bar.
They ended up that was like I think the backdrop of the bar was built first, and that was just kind of have like a Gothic cathedral sort of look. The books and everything that are hanging out over there still, that was actually brought up later, and that was literally for a Hogwarts ball that we had.
Oh, wow.
And they were supposed to be up there just for that and then taken down.
Like kept it there.
Loved them so much they ended up keeping them up, and it just has it definitely has that look. So.
Wait, that was just for one event?
It was just for one event.
My goodness, that to me looks like a permanent, fixture. I mean, it doesn't look like it was just intended for one event.
Oh yeah, it was literally just for that one ball that one year. I think it was the first year that we did the Hogwarts ball thing here. And I remember Tim just like he was going to. I mean, each one of those pages are glued.
Yeah, who put that together? One guy or one guy?
It was Tim and Kat that did all that, and it might have been Gina as well. But I believe at that time it must have been just Tim and Kat. But yeah,
wow.
It was a couple of weeks they were doing that.
Because that's worth seeing. I mean, that almost feels like a tourist attraction. Like people should come just to go. Go to Bar Sinister, Club Decades, or whatever Wednesdays, especially Wednesdays, and just come and see. Hang out and experience that.
There's a lot of things like that here, like little subtle things that were here just for one particular thing that ended up just sticking up because it just looked really cool, and we're like, hey, just keep it up.
yeah, I love it. I and man, just the dancing there, and then seeing like just everyone had, I don't know, they just, I obviously don't do any foundation. I don't do anything makeup. I don't do anything. I love the music. I love the dancing. My problem is I don't do that. However, I do that. So that might, one day when like in Halloween, I'll come in my full suit. But I don't do any of this stuff, but just the people and the look and the scene there was just great. The guys, the ladies, everyone had they had that, style. It was really good. It was really good style there.
It's amazing to see a lot of these outfits that people put together and the style that certain people have. And it runs throughout the scene. There's so many, I mean, you'll get people that are just t-shirt and jean people, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with.
They're out of here, man. They're out of here.
But, the amount of work that a lot of these people put into their I'm not going to call them costumes. They're not costumes. They're outfits. and their makeup and everything, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, that's one great thing about the goth scene. It's just full of people that are just extremely creative. Um, and it's beautiful to see. Like you see it all in full regalia every Saturday night, or whether it's here or somewhere else.
Yeah, Saturday's probably a bit more sassy for me than
Yeah,
right.
I think Wednesdays they maybe dress up a little more goth since it's more the old school, but
Wednesdays, yeah.
as Saturdays are more cyber these days. It seems like it's definitely going more towards that. It seem to be a lot more electro driven on Saturdays now than we used to be, and then Wednesdays, of course, is all the classic goth and industrial.
Oh, so Saturdays you do more like the newer stuff than whatever's the
Yeah,
Wednesdays.
it's kind of morphed into that. It's definitely more on the electro side.
Right.
Now.
Oh, so that would definitely be a different experience.
There's some we still play Sisters and stuff like that. It's very rare these days. It's definitely saved for Wednesdays.
Yeah, Wednesday, man. I think we just kept dancing and we had to stop, not because a bad song came on, but because we just had to go have a drink or some water. But every song was just there.
It was a fun night, and it was great because since it was the day before Thanksgiving, everybody had the night off, including me. Usually, I'm like rushing home at 2:00 once I break down to try to get to bed as quickly as possible, since I had to get up at 8 in the morning that following morning normally. So nice to sleep in for once, and I think everybody was the same way. So
Yeah.
everybody just came out. So
Yeah, that's a rare time. That's a rare thing to have a Wednesday,
oh, absolutely.
have a Thursday off like that. Yeah. So what are some of the fashions then that, like, so you mentioned the Mansons, that's pretty funny. Like they're all sort of looking like that, but what are some fads that came and went that you noticed?
That was the big one. I don't know why so many people. There were so many dudes that just dressed up like Marilyn Manson. That was it seemed like that whole thing lasted years. That was crazy. I'm glad that's for the most part gone. That's the only one I think. Yeah, that's the one I really remember. We're actually pay attention just because it annoyed the living hell out of me at the time.
Everything else is okay.
Yeah, it just I think everybody else just was in the normal. That really hasn't changed too terribly much. Maybe more vinyl these days and latex than before.
Or really more vinyl and latex. I felt like vinyl and latex was really big in the late 90s and 2000s.
It was very big then, and it kind of like dipped for a while, and then it kind of made a resurgence, it seemed.
What's that?
It seems like it's made this resurgence the past few years.
Oh.
Especially with the fetish scene and stuff that's involved in several of the clubs.
Yeah. I noticed a lot of really good cloth, black cloth, the velvet, the textured stuff. I kind of noticed that Wednesday.
Okay, stuff like that.
There was one, oh shoot, there's one, that's my phone. There's one elderly lady, but she looked great. She had like that, almost like she's going to a funeral, but she had like the sort of a priestly coverage, like a New Orleans funeral or something on last Wednesday.
Yeah, I remember seeing her. Yeah, she was full on. It definitely had a New Orleans sort of vibe.
Yeah, that was nice.
The Vampire Ball that I just went to in October.
Oh, that's right. I think I saw that on your Instagram. You went to the New Orleans. The Vampire Ball there seems pretty big, huh?
That was great. Yeah, it was put on by Endless Nights, Father Sebastian, and AMC was involved with Interview with the Vampire. And so that was a whole thing. And my friends from Orgy got to play. So that was great sharing the stage with them. And I forgot how the East Coast was so much different than the West Coast as far as club scene goes, because here we usually close at 2:30. Over there, I ended up DJing until 4 in the morning, and they still wanted to go to places afterwards, which I had politely declined. I had to get up at 8 to go back this way to LA. But yeah, I totally forgot that things in the East Coast close at 3, 4 o'clock.
I know. Yeah.
But
I know. I wonder what life would be like if I lived that kind of life. That'd be kind of too crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know how they even survive that. I'm just getting old, I guess.
It was a great time. It was a really well put on. Sebastian and everybody that was involved in it. They put on a heck of an environment. The whole night was great. It went by so fast.
So the vampire theme or ball, is that new or has that been around?
That's been around for a while. He started that, I believe, in New York City. And then they have them every year in various locations. I think there's Salem, here in Los Angeles. So they're having that in February. they're having one in Germany this year and maybe Paris.
Wow.
Of course, New Orleans is the big one, the big coup de grace every year because Anne Rice.
Right.
You know,
Oh, they only do it once a year there?
they only do it once. Well,
I mean, that.
they had the actual Anne Rice ball they do every year, but it's like the same weekend as the one that we did. But I think that one ends as that one begins, or something like that. But that's the big one, and now with AMC involved, and I guess they're going to be involved again this year. So that's.
What's AMC? What is that?
Oh, it's a TV channel.
Yeah, okay, right.
Or AMC Plus.
That's like movie classics or something. They're
It's a regular channel on TV, and then they have like all this show, like a streaming service with a lot of great shows on it.
Right.
But they have a new show, of course. They did the Interview the Vampire show. They just finished season 1. I guess working on season 2 now. And yeah, they were involved, and they had like a whole crew there filming and all that during the whole.
all right. Got it. Okay. Yeah. Trying to think if I have any other questions right now. I'm sure I will later, but for now, yeah, no, I guess that's enough, right? We think we've covered some ground there. Yeah, I'm going to come on Wednesdays for sure. That was just spectacular. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah, Wednesdays are a really great thing. It's cool to have that again because I mean, I think I kind of switched more and more towards electro myself a few years ago, just because the people on Saturdays, because the crowd was getting younger and younger, weren't responding as much to the older stuff.
What?
They really weren't. I mean, some of them do, and I started gradually putting more and more. I always played newer stuff, but it was like newer stuff that was kind of like still fit in that dark wave, gothy sort of vibe.
Right.
And the electro stuff that we play still does. It's just a lot of the more old school people really aren't into that style of music. So a lot of them tend to gravitate towards Wednesdays now.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And so you do your Severed band is having a show. You said January
13th at Club Decades
on Friday nights at
Friday night. That's gonna be
Boardner's location. Cool.
And I think it's gonna be an 80s night there as well. So that's interesting. So that's gonna be a interesting matchup. It'll be cool. It'll be a few songs by that point. I'm sure that I'm still actually was just working on last night, so I'm sure there'll be a couple more songs added to the set.
And Wednesday nights they don't have live shows on.
No live shows. Yeah, we don't do any live shows or guest DJs really on Wednesdays. We've had a guest DJ once so far on Wednesdays, just because he was here for I can't remember what. I think it was the Substance Festival that happened, and he came and guested in New York City, which was cool. But generally, we don't have guest DJs or we don't do bands.
Okay. All righty. Thank you so much, Tommy. That was cool. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, man.
Okay. And I'll see you. I'll see you in the club.
I'll be here tomorrow night, and if not, I'll see you on Saturday or one of these nights.
Yeah. All right. Good night.
Good night. Have a good night.